even if the wife had said, you should flee, that is not a reason. It is not lawful. It is not in their conduct books to use force simply because a person is fleeing an encounter.
Correct. She wasn't the one who
So we're coming back to the situation.
That did not happen. The officer was in front of the car, fleeing with the guy in front of the car is different than saying, I'm fleeing down the street.
We're talking about why they're investigating the wife. That's what we're talking about.
Because she encouraged someone to flee.
We're talking about why they're investigating the wife.
But that's the only reason why.
But the guy who pulled the trigger not being investigated. The guy who pulled the trigger not being investigated, that's the real issue here. And unfortunately, 6 prosecutors in the state of Minnesota have now resigned over the Justice Department's demand, their push to investigate the widow of Renee Good, who was, by the way, fatally shot. That's the big story out of Minnesota that we've been talking about, shot by an ICE agent just last week. So the ICE agent who pulled the trigger and shot Good in the face 3 times, no investigation there. In fact, immediately after that happened, you have various White House officials come out, refer to the woman who was shot in the face 3 times as a domestic terrorist. And now there's apparently going to be an investigation into her wife, which, honestly, I don't have that much of a problem with that, especially since I think her wife's involvement there was not helpful. I'll just put it generously. I'll put it that way, was not helpful. But you know what the real injustice is? That there's no investigation at all into the ICE agent to see whether or not, he followed proper protocols, whether or not he did something wrong. I mean, can we at least get an investigation? No, according to the White House, no investigation on that. So you saw me on that CNN panel. We'll get back to that later. But for now, let me give you some more details, because according to a shocking report from the New York Times, the Department of Justice isn't only demanding a criminal probe into Becca Good, Renee Good's late wife, they're also reluctant to investigate the ICE officer who shot and killed Renee. So after Good was shot, Harmeet Dillon, head of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, told her staff that she would not consider opening an investigation into whether the agent had violated federal law, according to 3 current and former department officials. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche also said something similar in a statement. There is currently no basis for a criminal civil rights investigation into the ICE agent. Instead, the Justice Department launched an investigation to examine ties between Good and her wife, Becca, and several groups that have been monitoring and protesting the conduct of immigration agents in recent weeks. Okay, so you're gonna investigate ICE protesters, anti-ICE protesters? That's the priority? And I wanna be clear, there's a distinction here. There are those who will, try to obstruct ICE and might actually do something that's considered illegal. And in that case, I don't know, you arrest them, right? It's not that difficult. But to launch investigations into protesters, broadly speaking, pretty anti-American, isn't it? Among the federal prosecutors to resign is Joseph Thompson, who was second in command at the US Attorney's Office and was also the lead prosecutor on the DOJ investigation into social services fraud in Minnesota, which I thought the Trump administration was really concerned about. Seemed like that was just the cover story for what they really wanted to do. But people familiar with his decision to quit said that he actually did object to the DOJ pressing for an investigation into Becca Good. And he also objected to the DOJ's refusal to include state officials in the investigation of the shooting itself. Ironically, Thompson's resignation, and this is the part that's just so frustrating. I get wanting to resign because you disagree with what the administration is doing. I mean, I probably would do the same thing. But it's also at the same time a bit counterproductive, right? Because Thompson's resignation is going to hurt efforts to root out fraud in Minnesota. Obviously, this is a person who has a conscience, and I would like to have more people with a conscience in our government, serving in various branches of our government. And losing people like that is not a good thing. And Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara called out the Trump administration on this, saying that when you lose the leader responsible for making the fraud cases, it tells you this isn't really about prosecuting fraud. Yeah, to me, that's pretty clear at this point. So among the other prosecutors who have now resigned, because remember, 6 of them have resigned. You have Thomas Calhoun Lopez, the chief of the Violent and Major Crimes Unit. Harry Jacobs, Thompson's deputy overseeing the fraud investigation. And you also have Melinda Williams, another senior career prosecutor. They have now resigned.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.